Hello, everyone that is on Facebook. If you will just give me a second, we are also in Zoom, so I just want to quickly admit all our attendings over there. So if you can just give me a second, and I will be with you just now. I hope everyone has had a great day. Happy Spring Day. Okay, and let's just see that. Let me just get everyone in here. I'm almost done. Just give me half a second. Everyone that's in the meeting room, welcome to all of you. We are very excited to have you all here. And if you are here in our Zoom meeting, please, in the chat box, you are welcome to please say hello to us. Tell us where you are from. Is this your first child, or do you have other children? It's the second time around. So while I'm admitting people and saying hi to everyone, you can comment in the chat box. And then a very warm welcome to our special guest, and that is occupational therapist and business owner, bilingual business owner from Witbank, Wilma Jansen for you. Thank you so much for spending time with us tonight.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much. It's awesome to be here on the spring day. Here in Witbank, we luckily had an awesome, very hot day. So yes, I think we're ready for this new season that is on the way, Karen.
I think a lot of people are ready for change and for just some positiveness. And I think
Absolutely.
and I think here in Bloemfontein, we also had good weather today. So it wasn't really spring yet, but it was okay. We are not complaining at all.
For Bloem, it was okay.
It was okay. We are always thankful for some sunshine.
That's it.
Okay, everyone. We really don't want to keep you waiting too long, and Wilma and I decided we want to keep our webinars not too long, because we know I don't know who's doing food tonight, but we have to get the kids in bed and all of that. So we are going to hop on and start with a presentation. Like I said, if you have any questions, we will address them at the end of the session. If there are people on Facebook that if you want to ask questions, please put it in there. I will handle all of that. And then everyone that's in the Zoom room, please also put your questions in there, and then Wilma and I will address them at the end. So Wilma, I'm going to just let me quickly start the recording because I almost forgot. And then you can go ahead. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Karen. I also just want to mention that should there be any trouble with the audio or with the internet, maybe you can just drop us a message in the chat box so that we can tend to that. All right. So then let's get started. Thank you for the introduction, Karen. My name is Wilma Jansen for you. Yes, I received my OT degree about 10 years ago already. I'm currently the owner of a bilingual center here in Witbank, have been for quite some time. And I'm very excited about this topic. I just think when we spoke about the topic and about doing this webinar, I really felt a very certain type of passion for it this year. It's different than other years. And obviously the difference is because of, the circumstances we are in with the COVID-19 and with the lockdown and everything that goes along with that. So for me, not only being ready for grade 1, but just being ready for school in general and just the impact of everything that's going on our school-going children. It's just something that we see in our center every single day. And, when talking to other parents, my own little one is in grade 1 this year. And yes, we have faced some struggles because of, what we went through last year in grade 1. which I will be touching some of that as we go along. So tonight, yes, I'm definitely going to talk from own experience as well. So tonight, this is not a training course. Tonight, we just want to touch on the subject of school readiness. We want to introduce you to what it means, because as a grade R parent you will be hearing about it a lot, starting now, but also be calm about it. Also realize that it's only September. We still have a way to go, so we just want to maybe just create awareness about the topics that that will become very important when it comes to school readiness. And also, there are still some skills that we can work on. There's still time, so don't let this stress you out. It's all about educating ourselves, and I really hope that that is something that I will be able to do for you tonight. So let's dive in. What is school readiness? Because, the one question that the parents always ask, the grade R parents always ask, especially in term 4, is, is my child ready for the big school? Because it is that, that big step, isn't it? And, there are 3 different areas if you look at school readiness. So firstly, it's something called school maturity. So when we talk about school maturity, we talk about literally the physical and the mental health required to go to school. For example, when we talk about physical development, we talk about maybe fine motor development in the fingers. Can my child hold a pencil adequately? Can my child hold the crayons that they are currently coloring with correctly? Is the pencil grip starting to form? So that all has to do with the physical development. Are they ready for reading, writing, numeracy? Remember, I'm not saying can they read, I'm saying are they ready? Is the foundation there? So a school readiness assessment can give you all of this information. Then we talk about social maturity. Now, social maturity is, how mature are they in a group? How confident are they in their group of friends? Are they confident enough to speak in a group? Are they confident enough to handle like small conflicts on their own? What does the self-confidence look like? This is very important, and that's why we wanted to stress that this evening. School readiness is so much more than just the school maturity, just being able to read, write, and remember. So the social maturity is also very important. And we also often see that with the lockdown, this is what they seem to lack when it comes to being school ready, because they're not exposed to the social situations. They haven't had a full year of being exposed to social situations. And I saw that with my little one. This was the hardest part for her of, coming out of a lockdown and out of kind of a protected school environment into now this big school environment. That was a big change for her. And, this was us last year, so we didn't see it coming. So I think it's important to just think about, how can I prepare myself and my little one for this change in terms of what they will be facing socially as well. And then almost hand in hand with that comes the emotional maturity. And emotional maturity is about being able to manage your emotions no matter the circumstances. How do they handle the small conflicts? Well, can they speak up in a busy classroom? How do they handle separation? And this is something that, I saw with my little one as well. The separation was very difficult for her. And, up until this day, saying goodbye in the mornings is difficult for her. And we are working on and finding ways to handle that type of separation problem for her, because we went from grade R, where everything was smaller, easier. I got to walk into the classroom with her in grade R. Now in grade 1, we're at a drop and go, and I have to drop and go. There's no taking the hands and walking with them to the classroom. So this seems like a small thing, but I can tell you it's not. This emotional maturity is really something that needs extra attention now that we're in this COVID time. So these are basically the 3 areas of school readiness. And all I wanted to do with these examples is just show you that school readiness is much more than just being able to read, write, and do your numeracy. Corin, if we can maybe just go back to that previous slide, I just want to touch the building blocks. So we have some cognitive readiness, which is your ability to think and to learn, your emotional readiness and the social readiness, which we just spoke about, the physical readiness, which we also spoke about, like being able to hold a pen or a pencil. And then we also have the language development, which also plays a huge role in the school readiness. So let me just touch on the cognitive building blocks. Thank you, Karen. Okay, so just a little bit about cognitive development. Cognitive development is, it's basically the skill set that they need to be able to learn. All right, to be able to read, write, and do maths. Okay, so my cognitive ability has to do with attention and concentration, firstly, because remember, grade R is often smaller in some, in some pre-primary schools. Grade R is a very small setup compared to a grade 1 setup, which is a bigger classroom with more children. And also grade 1 is less play and less practical than grade R. Grade R is still a lot of play, which helps them focus. It's much easier for the little ones to stay focused if they can do something with finger paints compared to, now having a worksheet in front of them and having to work on the worksheet. That makes it more difficult to focus. So that's why it's very important to already now be aware of your child's concentration ability, because grade 1 does have a lot of challenges for the concentration. They have to sit still for longer. The workload is bigger. The explanation from the teacher is longer. She might not be repeating things as often as the grade R teacher would. So that's why attention and concentration is an important part of the cognitive development. So is memory. How well can your child remember things? Because even if you look at something like short-term memory, can my child remember a sequence of elements and repeat that to me? Because this is a skill that they will be needing in grade 1 to read. My child will have to remember 3 sounds in a row to be able to say the word. So memory is important. Self-regulation is important. How well can your child wait? Or does he or she need immediate satisfaction? Can they be patient? Organizing is very important. Can your child organize his or her own materials? Can they remember to put the lunchbox and the sweater back into the school bag? Mine still can't, but this is just part of cognitive development. Planning, how does your child react to routine? Is there a set routine currently in grade R? Or is the routine lacking because of the adjustments that had to be made due to COVID? Because, grade R or grade 1 is definitely all about routine, which is a good thing. How well does your child cope with routine? Because that helps them to plan. And then problem solving. Can your child find a solution to a problem by themselves? Can they start and finish a task on their own? Are we creating enough experiences for them where they actually have to look for the solution by themselves? Are we letting them look for solutions by themselves? So this is just to touch on these cognitive milestones, which in my opinion are extremely important. And then, as I said, it's important to also just discuss the emotional readiness and development, especially during this time that we're going through. So, we want to discuss questions like, is my child ready to enter the strange school world? And I think, what's important here is how well does my child handle change? All right. So children who are in a grade R class, which is in the same school setting as the grade 1 class that they will be going to, often don't struggle as much with this one because they're already used to the area, the environment, the school uniform. So they adapt much easier than the little ones coming from a separate pre-primary school to a whole new big school. Is my child capable of handling basic emotions? What does your child do when he or she is unsure, or when he or she gets anxious, or when they don't understand something, or when they feel a situation is unfair? How do they handle those emotions? Do they regulate the emotions? Are they verbal? Can they put basic words to how they feel? Does my child have good self-confidence? Because remember, and we know this as adults, we struggle with this as well. When you start a new job in a new office and it's your first week is horrible because it's all these new people, new work, it's a new desk, new office space. Now our little ones go the same, it's just as difficult for them. Self-confidence helps a lot because our confident children will ask for help when they need help. They will ask for directions when they can't find the restroom or the classroom. So self-confidence is really, really important. Does my child have the capacity to show empathy towards friends? This is a really important part of the social development because it has a lot to do with how your child is within a group, and do they understand the feelings that other children show? Can my child function under authority and discipline? Remember, often the authority and the discipline is much more present in grade 1 than in grade R. It's not always the case, but we just see that, especially also for us, if I can use my own example again, coming from the small pre-primary school setting, which was in the backyard of the teacher's house. It was this very cozy, quaint little school where they had quite a bit of freedom, and my little one is struggling with the big school setup now, where, there are rules. There are rules around how you dress, how we must do your hair, how you address an adult, how you address other teachers from the school, and how does your child handle being told what to do? I think that's a good way of putting it. And is your child able to wait his turn? It also comes down to a bit of self-regulation. Does your child have the patience to wait and assess the situation before jumping right in? So this is just some of the important points that we wanted to touch on the emotional development. I hope everybody's still okay. When I get talking, especially when I'm passionate about something, I can't seem to stop. But please remember that you can put your questions in the chat box. We'll definitely get to them later. And then what are the risks should your child not be school ready? So what we're doing now is we just want to kind of jump into the future. And remember, I'm speaking as a grade 1 mom as well. So I could also reflect from our situation. They can maybe have a fear of school and experience negative emotions if they're not emotionally school ready. And we don't want them to develop a fear of school. You know, we want them to, you know, embrace the challenge and not fear. And one thing that I've realized in my grade R year is, you know, when you talk to other grade R moms, these little ones listen. They listen. So if we say to each other, oh my goodness, I'm so scared for my child and this grade 1 and this COVID and everything with that, you know, the little ones hear that. So if we verbalize our fear with other parents, our little ones might not always understand. And remember, if we're scared, they're scared. So we want to, when we discuss grade 1, we want to really try and approach it positively. That's the way to go. Our next point, they might have a bit of separation anxiety. And I can honestly tell you that that is something that we struggled with personally with my little one, just speaking honestly. And I think, you know, it's really important to have a good relationship with the teacher when it comes to this, because it's a process. The actual separating is a process. In the morning, the child has to go from you to the teacher. So somebody takes over somewhere on this emotional roller coaster. Mommy lets go and teacher takes over. And that experience must help them move forward and must help them to start self-regulating. And emotional development, parents, is something that develops naturally. There is no real way of pushing it. There are no exercises for it. It's more a matter of, you know, creating positive experiences for them and just creating experiences for them to be able to practice these type of situations. They might experience rage outbursts, and it has a lot to do with frustration and anxiety sometimes. They might experience rejection. And just to touch on this one, if your child is coming from a school that isn't part of the big school. So if your child didn't start grade R at the school where they will be going to grade 1, and they're coming from the outside like we did, they might experience a little bit of rejection at the beginning because all the other friends already know each other from grade R, and now your child is the new child in the group. Again, how does your child handle him or herself socially, and how can we prepare them for that? And your child may struggle with frustration. And remember, frustration just comes from being insecure and feeling that they're not being heard or they're not being helped. And how can your child verbalize the frustration? And this is just looking at your child as a whole and identifying what could possibly be a challenge for them. Okay, we can go to the next slide. And then also, sorry, Karen, poor academic performance. If they are not school ready and we push them, it could lead to poor academic performance. And this has to do with the school maturity area. If in the 4th term, you doubt about your child being school mature, the ability to read, write, and do numeracy, take action. There are professionals for that. I will touch on that just now. But if your child isn't ready, it could lead to poor academic performance in grade 1. Your child might struggle to feel inferior because everybody else is getting it right. I'm always the one getting it wrong. There might be certain behavior patterns like biting nails, so going to school with tummy aches, things like that. It's how they handle the insecurity and anxiety sometimes. And they might develop a poor self-image if they struggle with some obstacles in grade 1 because they were not ready to go. Okay. So that was just the examples that we wanted to share with you. Again, it's not to say it's going to happen. It's going to be like this. Every child is different. Every school is different. Every family is different. We just wanted to touch on some examples from what we experienced ourselves over the years, what we've experienced with our own children. And as I said, it is September, so there is time. Let's educate ourselves and be aware of what's lying ahead so that we can start tackling it now. So there's a 4-step action plan that we follow. Firstly, it's educating yourself as you're all doing tonight. It's taking time out of your busy schedule, sometimes out of your family time, and educating yourself about the developmental phase that your child is in at the moment and about what lies ahead. Educate yourself about how the school will be assessing your child this term and next term. What are the possibilities of having a school readiness test done? Start educating yourself. Then the next step, there's an assessment that is really awesome and that can really help us get an idea of your child's concentration ability. Remember, I mentioned that, you know, grade 1 really takes a strain on their concentration ability just because the concentration environment or the physical environment is so much different than grade R. So we really always see them, you know, struggling a bit with the concentration. So there's an assessment that we can already do now, which will give us information about what your child might be struggling with concentration-wise next year. And this also has to do a bit with educating yourself about your child's abilities now, and what could be done. Then, as I mentioned, we could do, there is an assessment that can be done, a real school readiness assessment that is done by a professional like an OT or an educational psychologist, and they can give a very detailed report about all the things we spoke about that school maturity, social maturity, emotional maturity, and they can do a recommendation. This is a very interesting assessment that gives a lot of information. And then talk to the teacher now as well as next year. If you've heard some things tonight that stuck, or you heard some things that you kind of recognize in your child, let's talk to the teacher now already. Remember, your child's grade R teacher is experienced, hopefully, and will be able to provide you with examples, or will be able to maybe tell you how they are tackling these readiness steps in the grade R curriculum, how they will be assessing the children. But it's just really good to now really work on your relationship with the teacher, your communication with the teacher. Same thing next year. With the grade 1 teacher, show your child that it's important to you to be part of the grade 1 process. Introduce yourself to the teacher. Communicate about the things that you're scared about. Communicate about obstacles that you think your child might encounter. Be open, be honest. They really don't judge. They're there to help. So communication with the teacher is always very important. Also, the part about educating yourself, what I just want to add there is we will be emailing a check, like a school readiness checklist, to everybody who's live on this webinar tonight, so that you can download it and go through the checklist and go through all the points and maybe just have a look at you know what it entails, and maybe see if there are some things on there already that you would like to discuss with the teacher, or that you would like to discuss with an OT or another professional person. So there is a plan. I think that's definitely the good part. So what we want to do is, I just spoke about that focus assessment. So Karen and I will be doing a follow-up webinar for you, for the grade R parents, because we just want to zoom in a bit on the concentration part of being ready for grade 1. And we want to show you what that assessment measures and how you can use that information not only for now, for the teacher now, but also for the teacher next year. So everybody who have registered, who's on the webinar tonight, we will forward you that email with the link for that next webinar. Karen, if I'm correct, that webinar will be on the 15th?
15th, yes, on the 15th, yes.
Yes. So definitely don't miss that one. We're looking forward to that one, where we will be zooming in a bit on the concentration. Okay. And then, yes, remember, educating yourself is important. We provide information for you guys. We want to provide practical advice, and we want to provide resources, which is why we go through a lot of trouble to make sure that you have a checklist that can help you, that you have a summary that could help you. We just always like to pick these kind of topics that we're passionate about, because we're parents too, and we know what it feels like to swim. So we're definitely here to help, and we definitely hope to see everybody at the follow-up workshop, which will be on the 15th. Yes, looking forward.
Yes, and I think I want to thank you, Vilma, and I think it was short and sweet, because we don't want to overwhelm anyone. And like Vilma said, our purpose and the reason why we're doing this is not to make you nervous, is to make you feel calm. Because if you understand what's coming, you are prepared. If you are prepared, your child is going to be prepared. And I want to touch a lot of you that maybe don't know me, but I'm a lot older than Vilma, but I do have a little Laatlammetjie that I had when I was 41, and he's now in grade 3. So not too long ago, I was also a grade R mom. And it's so strange, because I've got these 2 big kids, 20 and 21 years old, and now I've got this little one. And if I look at my parenting style those years, opposed to now, because of the knowledge that I have, I'm parenting him so much better. And the reason for that is because I've got all this knowledge about educating myself. That's why I want to stand on the rooftops and tell young parents like you guys that's on here, to the better you educate yourself, the better you can assist yourself and your child, but also the teacher. And by doing assessments, and I want to end with that, is that, and I know a lot of times we're so, it's our little ones and they can do nothing wrong. Don't look at an assessment to see the worst thing. We are always like that, right? When the boss calls you into the office, you think you're in trouble. If the teacher calls you in, you think that your child did something wrong or can't do something. So see assessments like a school readiness assessment or any other assessment. See that as a form of getting information about your child, where they are now at this stage, because that helps you to understand why they are maybe they've got certain behaviors towards maybe you giving them a task or things like that. The more information you have as a parent, the better you can parent, and it relieves stress because communication is better. So we really want to invite you to that one. I'm very passionate about focus and about understanding your child and how they function, and that it helps you to plan, and especially when they're going to grade 1. So I just wanted to, touch on that. I don't know if you want to add something there, Vilma.
No, definitely. And like I just also again want to stress, it's about staying calm, and it's about just creating a game plan for yourself for the coming few months. So yes, that's what it's about.
I've got some questions, Vilma. So I've got here a mom asking, the school where my little one is in grade R, is doing school readiness tests in term 4. How would that work on a bulk level? Would the results be as detailed as it could be if we did it privately? That's a great question.
Fantastic question. So Yeah, I just want to say again that, you know, your relationship with your child's grade R teacher is very important here. So this school readiness assessment will hopefully be followed up with an appointment with the teacher where all the elements that were measured will be discussed. So they usually touch on the most important areas. So I would say if something concerning comes out of that assessment, then you could possibly just maybe get a second opinion privately. But your child's grade R teacher usually knows your child very, very well. I mean, they've seen your child each and every day this year, well, most of the year. So that works. When my little one went to her grade R school, I mean, they were 6 grade R's. The school readiness assessment that they did there at that little school, and this assessment was done by the teachers from the school, it did point out that there was a mild separation anxiety. So I knew what was lying ahead in grade 1. But other than that, it was a good assessment. It was a good all-round assessment. So I think maybe also compare what they will be doing with some of the checklists that we will be sending, and make sure that the information is also discussed with you guys after the assessment by the teacher.
Thanks, Wilma. Cindy Lee, I hope that answered your question. But I want to just ask you this, and you guys sitting there that we can't see, I want you now to pick up your fingers and type the following. And there's no dads on here, so I'm going to speak freely, okay? But can any of you that's sitting there in front of your computers, can any of you play golf? Type. I want to see some action. I want to see if I'm speaking to live people here. Come on, people. Nope. Okay, Cindy says nope. Now, maybe there's some professionals here, Wilma. No. Okay. No one is saying no. Okay, cool. No. Okay. But here is the jackpot question, right? Can I teach you? Can I teach you to play golf? To play the clarinet? It's the same here. It doesn't matter what your child can't do now. He's going to learn how to do that. But if you want to take this obstacle, let's call it an obstacle, and do it in a positive way, what better way is that if you have the knowledge and you can manipulate the situation to make it positive, right? Do you guys agree with me? So I don't want you to look at the checklist or anything that don't take anything you get back and feel you're a bad mom. You didn't do everything that you could, because that is what us moms do. I don't want you to do that. Children grow up so differently, and parents need to know how to assist their children, but you don't have the knowledge, and that's why we are here. Okay, so I hope, let me see, are you okay? Are you feeling better after this session? You're feeling more positive? Okay, great, great. And that's why we want you to stick with us, because we're doing this next one where we're going to show you the assessments and things that you can do. Then we've got another one, another workshop that we're going to do. So we've got your back. And then when they go to grade 1, we've got a Facebook group now for you guys that you are welcome to join. I will put in the link in the email that I'm going to send. But as soon as you hit grade 1, you're going to come on over to our well-established grade 1 homework tips and tool group, where there's ample training and exercises and stuff that you can do with your child. So we don't want you to be nervous or worried or anything like that. Okay. Do I have everyone's agreement? What do you say, Vilma?
But don't be nervous, be excited. And yes. What I also wanted to say, Karen, you can teach me how to play golf if you're very, very patient. And even that goes for our little ones, hey?
Exactly, exactly. Okay, Vilma, I've got a few questions here. So this one mom is asking, how can I prepare, and this is a good question, how can I prepare my very shy and introvert child for grade 1?
Okay, and yes, this comes back to that social maturity. Hey, so our little introverts struggle in groups. So usually they are the ones who don't want to ask questions. They don't want to speak up when they're in a group. The advice that I want to give to you is to create a lot of social situations for her, not threatening situations. So don't leave her with a group of 10 children and go away and come back later, but really, really invest in play dates, friends that she feels safe with. Because, you know, the only way to prepare a little introvert for a group is to start one-on-one. So make sure there are play dates, and also have a look at the extracurricular activities. Maybe there's something that she might be interested in. I know I tried to enroll my little one for dance lessons, because just to get her used to doing things with other children and being around other children without having to interact with them the whole time. So she was dancing together, but she was still on her own, if that makes sense. So yes, two things: play dates, and a hobby or an extracurricular activity that she can do with other children and just have fun.
Okay, great, thank you. This is also a good one, and it's strange that this mom is asking this, because I had this question last week as well. Is how can I approach the teacher with regards to my ADHD jumpy, bouncy child going to grade 1?
All right, and I assume that we're talking about the new teacher,
yes,
the grade 1 teacher.
Yes.
All right. So, and this is again where the communication and the relationship that you're going to build with the teacher is very important. The thing that teachers can really appreciate is when parents also acknowledge, the difficulties that their children go through. There's a difference between saying to a teacher, listen, my child is busy, my child is disruptive, my child has a strong personality and has his say, I hope you can deal with that. And saying to a teacher, we have been on this journey with my child. The feedback from the grade R teacher has been that he does tend to get up when he gets bored and walk around. We've been handling it in a certain way. We have been using a reward system, or we have been working together with the grade R teacher to handle it. I really hope that we will be able to continue this journey with you, as we don't only look out for our own child, but we're looking forward to building a positive relationship with you as a teacher as well. So it is definitely, and I'm so glad that this question came up, there's definitely a way of communicating about this. Teachers don't want to feel like we're piling it on them and good luck, it's the words we use and the way we ask it and say it.
And it's a team effort. I always say, remember, it's a team effort, because it's your child, it's you, and it's the teacher. So there's a little triangle, and everyone needs to bring their part to the table, and communication is key to everything. So it's like you said, it's just the way in which one, approach that.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Oh, this one I want to know the answer to, my Vilma, especially now when I see what children are supposed to do for homework. So this one mom is asking, I can see this is a mom that wants to prepare herself, how long should homework take for a grade 1 child?
That's, you know what, I always say, if a grade 1 child sits for more than an hour per day on the written worksheets, it's too long. It's long. And then we have to investigate, why. So I'm talking about written work. I'm not talking about, just some extra reading or some extra listening activities. So yes, if it takes more than an hour every day on the written worksheets, I think we should definitely speak to the teacher, but also look at definitely at the concentration.
Why they are struggling, because I think this is the key, is that if they start struggling because of a foundational skill set that maybe is not as developed as it should, we don't want them to feel that there's something wrong with them, or they can't do it, or they, so fast, especially the girls, or especially sensitive children, they tend to very fast think, but there's something wrong with me, because why can't, I'm the only one that can't do that. And you don't want to deal with that emotional stress with regards to that.
Absolutely. And Corin, that's one of the things that leads to a lot of frustration during homework time, unnecessary frustration. Let's not drag it out. Let's rather get to the root of what is causing homework to take so long.
Yeah, and again, guys, you'll see next year when you are grade 1, just keep on following us. And we've got a great workshop that we do in the first term for grade 1 parents, where we actually we take the homework sheet. We know what you guys get for homework, and then we try and help you. How can I help my child with homework? But it's not just like Wilma said, that very boring worksheets that they want to do, because those cognitive skills that they need to actually develop can be done through play. But you need to know, what should I play, and we're going to help you with that as well, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay. Any other questions? I've got all the questions here. I'm really excited. Can I just see everyone that attended, if you can maybe in the chat box, that you learned something, are you happy that you came? It's always very important for us to get feedback from you guys and see that you have learned something. So if you can maybe just, if you want to, otherwise, Wilma, thank you for your time. I know it's precious. I know how busy you are as well. Luckily, my grade 3 boy, I've been weaning him off myself. He's already on doing his homework on his own. So I'm done for the day. So okay, everyone says they're very happy they joined. Oh, we're excited that this was informative. Great. So I really, really hope to see you guys on the 15th. That's going to blow your mind, and again, we are going to be so practical, yes. And you are really going to learn a lot. Okay, guys. Wilma, thank you. You go have a great evening further, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.